To provide us with a little bit more insight into the reforms as CGTN's current affairs commentator Einar Tangen. Always a pleasure to see you. This point-based approach of the Hukou is something that's been used in big cities like Shanghai, as Zhang Shi was pointing out. Seems like the feedback is that it's fair and effective. How does moving to something like this change things?
Well, it changes things a lot. I mean, the Hukou system is literally something that started in the 1300s and continued today under different circumstances and needs to change. The needs of a modern society are quite different from a rural society where you wanted to keep people attached to the land. So the Chinese government is trying to do a number of things. One, there used to be a difference between if you were a rural resident or an urban resident. They're abolishing that. They want to add 100 million people, basically rural people, to the urban areas. But this has to be carefully managed. It's about $14,500 US dollars per person once you try to provide the services that are associated with the Hukou, which is why this is so important. And that takes a lot of planning. So each city has its own ability to do to adjust the policies that they have there. This is part of China's approach where they try to make sure that they try different models before they actually roll out a big program, which is expected in 2020 or expected to come into effect and be operative by 2020.
Einar, I guess there's no such thing as a silver bullet, but is this as close as you can get to that? I mean, do you see potential drawbacks from it at all?
Well, it's very difficult because, you know, there's this transition period. If you're a rural resident and you give up your rural Hukou, you have to give up your land rights that are part of that. I mean, and what I mean by that is there used to be these collectives, communes, and basically you have a share of that commune. And if for some reason the government needs that land for some sort of urbanization or any other issue, there's compensation paid, and people are a little bit hesitant to give that up. But you know, things are changing now. The society is changing. People are looking for more stability. Education and healthcare are one of the main issues that people are looking for, especially when they start to make that jump to the cities.
And Einar, we heard from Tongbo and Zhang Shi. One other thing that was brought up in both of their pieces is regional integration. It seems very forward-thinking. How important is that?
Well, it's very important. I mean, you know, for instance, even in this Beijing latest Hukou thing, they are giving more points if you're willing to locate somewhere other than Chaoyang, Haidian. These are the areas with the highest population. But, you know, there are challenges ahead. I mean, if you have a points-based system, which is, you know, as they said, you know, how long you've worked here, educational requirements, etc., you might have an overbalance of leaders, of people who can do things, but you still need people to do them. So expect this to be fluid. They're looking at this, going at it on a step-by-step basis. This is the kind of glacial way in which the Chinese government works, but it seems to have worked pretty well so far.
Einar Tangen joining us from Beijing. Thanks so much.